To know the entirety of what this is, that's a whole lot of attention, time, education, assistance, guidance, so many things are involved. But to bring a reasonable sense of balance into you, it doesn't take much. You're doing a few things basically wrong with life. When I say basically wrong, one thing is for everybody to understand, all human experience is generated from within. Is that so? All human experience is generated from within. So at any time, if you feel happy or unhappy, miserable, joyful, ecstatic, in a state of agony, doesn't matter what happens, what is your experience, pleasantness or unpleasantness, just to know that it's happening from within, and it can only happen from within. You can either take external stimuli or you can create your own stimuli, but essentially it happens from within. This one thing, if it is not grasped, when you feel miserable, if you think it's this one, you're gone. You're just… the keyboard is here, but you're punching the wall. This is not going to work. This one basic fundamental thing is something that almost 90% of the humanity is always doing it wrong. Whenever they feel miserable, they think it must be this one or that one or that one or that one. Now, all human experience is generated from within. If something is feeling unpleasant, first thing is to look at this. What am I doing wrong with this? Am I eating wrong? Am I sleeping wrong? Am I sitting wrong? Am I breathing wrong? Is my heart beating wrong? Something, my very chemistry is wrong. Something is wrong with this, not with that. So the moment you think by kicking the wall you can fix this one, then you made a fundamental mistake. The harder you try, the further away from it you go. So, this possibility of bringing balance to the system, first of all, is the fundamental nature of yoga. The most basic forms of yoga, whether it is, many of you doing probably the Nadi Vibhajan or Yoga Namaskar or Surya Namaskar or Surya Kriya, these are all basic forms of yoga. The first thing is to bring balance. Once there is balance, then you can build a tower on top of this. If there is no balance, whatever you build will only lead to more trouble. The more basic you are, the better it is. So this is what a whole lot of humanity is seeking, somehow to remain basic. Because if you build something, it feels terrible when there is no fundamental balance. Anything standing up without balance is a big problem. So the best thing is to lie down, stay close to the ground. If you grow tall, it'll be a problem, so remain at the minimum. A whole lot of humanity has reduced themselves to a minimal possible thing in their life. If I don't get into trouble, that's good enough. A whole lot of humanity. This is a serious waste of evolutionary work. What has happened on this planet in the last few million years to evolve life from its simplest form to what it is today, just wasting the entire process. And Mother Earth is not going to let you get away with it. You will pay the price. If you try to make life go backwards, it will make sure you pay the price. So instead of trying to do this, that, so many things, first thing is to do something to bring balance. First step is just this, that everything that I generate from within me in the form of experience, sensations, painful, pleasant, wonderful, horrible, whatever I go through is essentially generated from within me and nobody else but me. Others may help, Others help. If you're miserable, some people will fuel it and help. If you're joyful, some people will fuel that and help. There are different types of people around us, they assist you. as they know their life. But essentially, it is your making. This is the fundamental aspect of yoga. The first teaching that came out was that it is your karma. That means it's your making. Your life and the experience of your life is entirely your making. If this one thing doesn't sink into you absolutely, you will not make the necessary changes. You still think, yes, I know it's my karma, but you know, my husband, what he did. You can't fix this. First you understand, this is my making, entirely my making. The moment you see it, you have the ability to change it. I see it, but you know what they did to me yesterday? Now you can't change it. It doesn't matter who did what. What is happening within you, your experience of your life is entirely your making. This is your karma. Karma means not something that drops upon you from somewhere. Karma means your action, it's your making, it's your doing. So if you just said this one thing, creating the necessary balance will happen automatically. Once there is balance, then you would want to try many things. Otherwise, I'm talking about so many things up there in the sky, you will only be a spectator. You will not be the one who flies. You will only be a spectator because when there is no balance, you don't want to go 3 inches above the ground. So this is one fundamental thing. We've been talking about this in many forms. But if you want to make the full scope, if you want to make use of the full scope of this body and this brain, of this human possibility, of this consciousness that we refer to as human being, then first thing is this, that you understand and fix it within you absolutely that the quality of my life is entirely my making and nobody else and nobody else. If you fix this one thing, balance will come. Once balance comes, I'm impatient to take you to places where only people with balance can walk, others cannot. There is a very big difference between doing what I like and doing what is needed. When you start doing what is needed, there is no such thing as what is it that I like and what is it that I do not like. If you just transcend this one thing, that I like something, I dislike something, if you just transcend this one thing, 90% of your spiritual work is over, that's all. Because the karma generating machine, the basis of bondage is just this, I like this, I don't like this, I love this, I hate this. Once you divide creation like this, your ability to touch that dimension which we call as the source of creation is out of reach for you. I want you to pay attention, all the children also, okay? Hello? All of you should pay attention to small things. A blade of grass, a leaf, an ant. You saw an ant? Huh? Really closely, you must look at an ant. Whoever made this ant, has it been made with meticulous attention or simply, okay, just a bloody ant? Huh? What do you think? Very well made? Well made or no? Very well made, isn't it? Fantastic ant actually, not just a bloody ant. So if the creator, if the source of creation is willing to pay that much attention to a tiny little ant, who the hell are you to decide what you like and what you dislike? We like this, we don't like this. You like a cockroach? Why? Suppose Shiva came in the disguise of a cockroach, what will you do, huh? Namaskaram you'll do. But how will you know it is Shiva or just another cockroach, huh? Huh? How will you know? You don't know. So better do namaskaram to every cockroach because who knows which one is Shiva? It's very simple. This is what this culture taught you. You see a tree, oh Shiva. You see a stone, Shiva. You see a dog, Shiva. You see a cow, Shiva. Because you don't know. You don't know today what is his disguise. Better not take a chance, isn't it? Huh? Better not take a chance. At least start with the human beings. You don't know in what disguise he's come today. Huh? Isn't it? Suppose who knows? This is why, whoever you see, because who knows today what is the disguise? If you're like this, grace will be upon you, there's no question. You don't have to go in search. You don't have to go in search of God or truth, it will rain upon you. It will
See, if you do anything with a certain intensity and involvement, it doesn't matter what, you don't have to do something particular. If you do it with absolute intensity, anything, instead of saying we went through the whole science of you leave the damn science, you just say boom, boom, boom. But with absolute intensity and involvement, even the boom will work, okay? No science is involved, but just the intensity. If you can just get your life into the highest possible pitch of intensity, you're there, okay? You can do it with anything. I don't know if you have heard of this, but it's very much there in the traditions. Many yogis were constantly angry, do you know that? Not about anybody, simply angry. Now you have this understanding, a yogi means he must be… Yes? Like that. He must be a good man. Tell me, the first yogi, let's take the first yogi as an example, Shiva. Can you call this guy a good man? Can you call him a good man? Huh? No, but just tell me by the stories that you have heard. See, after all, it's the stories that we have heard from the Shiva Purana, isn't it? He is a great yogi, but he's a drunkard. Do you know? Shiva is a drunkard. He's a great householder, but mad debaucher. He is perfect awareness, but a drug addict. All the gods worship him, but his friends are all demented beings. Do you know this? So do you call this man a good man or a bad man? He's neither a good man or a bad man, but he's fantastic. He's definitely not a good man. You can't call him a bad man, but he's terrific. You know what that means? That means you have to raise beyond your ideas of good and bad, like and dislike, and just become intense life. Life in its peak performance. So, we said if you just say Shiva, it will happen. Yes, because these sounds, I think we looked at this already, what a mantra is. These sounds are like keys to another dimension of life. If you have gone through the necessary preparation, just one utterance of Shiva, I will have you exploding to a completely different level of energy and experience. You will see if you come to certain advanced programs, we have something called a samyama, which is a 8-day meditation camp. Now it is 10-day and it's in total silence. Just one utterance, Shiva, people will just burst. They cannot contain themselves in the body. Just one word, just the sound. It is not because we called some god it happened, because it's a key sound. If you know how to use it, you can open up things that you have never imagined possible. So the word Shiva is of tremendous power and significance. We gave that name to somebody who is closest to such a possibility. The first yogi, the Adi yogi. We called him Shiva because he is the closest to such a possibility where he will explode your shell and deliver you to a completely different dimension. These are, unfortunately, the problem is street-side spirituality. You know, everybody is talking spirituality. If you read a book, you can become spiritual. This is the danger, you know. Because of this, all kinds of things are happening. It is not because that's God's name. If God is everywhere, every damn thing, the sacred word and the abuse is also Him, isn't it? Yes? Yes or no?
Yes.
It is not a question of that something is sacred and something is not. The moment you make this discrimination that something is sacred and something is not, something is good and something is not, you're finished. Because you've divided the world. When you say, I want to turn spiritual, what you are saying is you want to become all-inclusive. Yes? You want to transcend the limitations of the physical. Physical is exclusive. The more identified you are with the body, the more exclusive you are, isn't it? Physical is exclusive. That which is beyond the physical is all-inclusive. So when you say, I want to become spiritual, you are saying, I want to cross the limitations of the physical. That means you are saying, I want to become all-inclusive. If you want to become all-inclusive, if you say, these people are not sacred, only these are sacred, can you include? You divided the world and you finished. This is a no-win situation. People are going on dividing the world according to their terms of good and bad, okay and not okay, and they are hoping to be spiritual. It'll never happen. It cannot happen. First stop the judgment. Responsibility, responsibility, responsibility. Why is? Now you don't see what is good and bad. Whatever comes in front of you, according to your intelligence, you respond to it as it is needed. Not because it's good, not because it's bad. According to your intelligence, whatever is the best thing to do at that moment, accordingly you respond. Whichever way you respond, whatever action you perform, there will be a consequence to it. Knowing this, you perform your action. Should I do the good things or bad things? You do whatever you want. All I want you to know is, whatever you do, there will be a consequence. When the consequence comes, if you are going to cry, then there is no point. If you can take any consequence joyfully, do whatever you please. But if you are made like this, if certain consequences come, you will break up. If it is so, you perform your action a little more cautiously, that's all. It is not a question of good and bad. It is not a question of what is God and what is not. Always they told you, God is everywhere, isn't it? If God is everywhere, if He's in everything, boom is also God's name, isn't it? Doom is also God's name, isn't it? Yes or no? So you don't know what's God's name. Logic has to go step by step, step by step. You can go that way. But fortunately, life is brief. Unless you're willing to jump a few steps, nothing worthwhile will happen. If something phenomenal has to happen in your life, you have to jump lot of steps. But you cannot jump these steps the moment you start thinking, what about me? The moment you start thinking, what about me, you cannot jump the steps because now you brought yourself down to the most basic of the logic. What about me doesn't take any intelligence. Even that tweet, 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 that bird also is thinking, what about me, what about me? Yes or no? That's what you see, can you hear that, what about me? See? That is the most basic of the logic. The moment you bring yourself down to that logic, you will not do anything worthwhile, believe me. I'll give you a guarantee, you will not do anything truly worthwhile in your life the moment you start thinking, what about me? It is because of this, forever people have been talking about selflessness, love, this one, that one. If you love also, it becomes, what about me, isn't it so? If you get married, then it gets worse, what about me? People used to say, when you are a student, everybody's a communist. We want equality, we want this, let's share, let's do that. The moment you get a job, you become a socialist. The moment you get married, you become a proper capitalist. So, this what about me just brings you down to basic, very fundamental logic. Once you come to this, you will only walk one step at a time. If you walk, most of the time you're stuck. But if you do walk, you'll walk one step at a time. If you go one step at a time, in this brief span of life, you will not do anything truly worthwhile. You cannot. If you survive, if you don't get into a mess, so yesterday some very important industrialist was saying he's only like maybe 39, 40 and he's one of the top industrialists in the country. He was saying, I have my Mediclaim and my whatever, what are the other things you do? What is the other thing you do what is the other one? No, superannuity and whatever, all this stuff. So I was thinking, okay, I don't have Mediclaim, I don't have superannuity, I don't have insurance. So, these things, I'm not saying you shouldn't do it, you do it. But the moment we start thinking, if our thought process becomes about, what about me, then you're down to the basics. No, 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 it's not about me, it's about my family, that's about you. No, it's about my country, that's about you. No, it's about my planet, it's still about you. I want you to know that. Whatever is yours is important to you, isn't it? Yes? Whether I say this is my teacup or I say this is my planet, there's not much difference. People think it is. Maybe in terms of what you do, your activity may change a little bit, but nothing, no great difference will happen. So to bring this about, if we want to employ the logical mind, because we have to, otherwise we'll become senseless. We will not become senseless, we'll become an absurd kind of sense. If you became totally senseless, that would be liberation. That would be absolute liberation, but that won't happen that way. So to go step by step, we have to use the logic the way it works best for us. If it has to work in the best possible way for us, first of all, if you can liberate your logic from the silly identities that you have taken on, starting from this little body. Don't have big ideas about your body, this is just earth recycling itself, isn't it? This is just earth and recycle. You may think many great things about yourself. You know, you're doing all that what are these things called, the bio stuff these days? You are biodegradable material, aren't you? Yes. You're not even as eternal as plastic. You're just purely biodegradable. All those biofuels, what do you call them? Those gas, you know, the gobar gas. People are using human excreta also to produce gas. Endlessly, we want to do things. I'm not against those things, but the mindset will destroy the human being, not the activity. You try to use everything in activity, there is no problem. But the mindset will destroy the human being the moment he starts thinking about how to use everything. So, all the fancy ideas that people have about themselves is just their own stuff. But all that's happened is, the carpet is between you and earth. I wish you had sat on the wet grass, then the connection would be more real. You're just a small mound on the earth. Just see yourself sitting here for next… I don't want to reduce your lifespan, next 100 years. If I say 10, somebody may get paranoid. 100 years you just sat here, you'll still be a mound, but a little smaller mound. You know, it happened to a lot of people. Have you seen those mounds? Some people have grossly marked it with stones and sticks and whatever. Others are all just small mounds. All the undulation that you're walking, we don't know how many people are buried here. You don't have to bury anybody. If they just sit here for 100 years, they'll become small mounds like that, small nice undulations in the lawn, really. Yes or no? So you popped out of this, you'll go back like this. This is not some great realization, this has been happening for millions of years, nothing new. But just see, we are not aware of it on a daily basis. With how much ignorance one can live, thinking this is it, isn't it? So, you're just a recycle. The planet is just want to cultivate itself and fertilize itself. It is doing. So this little bit of shit that comes up and goes down thinks so much about itself. But still, when I say shit, don't think something wrong. In many ways, it's the most composite and useful thing on the planet. Whatever you want to grow, you need it, isn't it? Yes? Similarly, if you want to grow a being out of this, you need it. No body, no being, isn't it? There are those without a body, but they also have a subtler body. No body means no being, please see. So, we are not trying to belittle the body. We must understand, because it comes with such a short expiry date, and it's just such a nebulous happening, simply it comes on and goes away. Because it's such a nebulous happening, but it has the great possibility of growing a being out of this. We must act quick. You can't go one step at a time. You have to go leaps and bounds. So the first and foremost thing is this base logic that we have, which makes our growth just very slow and laborious. What about me, what about me, what about me? What about you? You'll be anyway sucked in, that's all about you. Either you make something fantastic out of this, or you don't, whichever way, anyway you'll be sucked in. Yes? That's all about you. What else about you? You think you'll go to heaven? You're in heaven and missing it, that's all. If we send you to another heaven, there also you'll miss it. Yes?
So these 84 asanas, which are the fundamental yogasanas, are 84 ways to make the body into a passage. It is not necessary, actually, for everybody to do 84 asanas. If they do one, it is enough. Usually hatha yogis, serious hatha yogis who are taking hatha yoga as their path to liberation, practice only one asana, just one asana. It is difficult for a thinking mind to understand why would somebody spend his whole life trying to sit in a particular way. But if you learn to sit right, if you just learn to hold your body right, everything that you need to know in this universe you can know. Because this is known as asana siddhi. If you can sit in a posture, stable and comfortable, for 2.5 hours, then we say you have attained to asana siddhi, that you are in absolute comfort and at ease in a particular posture. That is asana siddhi. If you achieve this, everything that you need to know, one can know internally. How is this possible? How can by sitting you can know everything that you can know? If you have a television at home, television is just a box with a little bit of electronics in it. But it becomes a world by itself. The whole world can stream into this place that we call as a television, or this box that we call as a television, simply because there is a receiving mode. If you set the antenna right, if it is properly adjusted, then the whole world flows into your place or into this box. If it is not set right, same instrument, it has everything but can't do anything. This is how human being is. A human being is, an individual human being is who he is only because of what he perceives. Only because of what he or she perceives, an individual human being becomes whoever they are. Right now, you are who you are only because of whatever you have perceived in your life till now. And you will be who you will be only because of what you will perceive in future. Whatever you perceive is what makes you whatever you are today. So, the whole system of yoga is only interested in enhancing perception. So if you hold the posture right, if your alignment is right, and if it matches with the cosmic alignment in some way, 84 alignments. If one gets into these 84 postures or even masters a single posture and approaches the remaining 83 through that, then everything that has happened in the creation till this moment, one can know, because the memory of that is right here within your system. In a, let us say in a codified way, it can be activated and ignited if it touches another dimension outside of yourself. So asanas are powerful means, yogasanas are powerful means to connect. I do not want you to forget what yoga means. Yoga means union. Union means two have become one. Two is just this, there are only two in the existence, you and the rest of the existence. In the rest of the existence, you may identify this one, that one, that one, but essentially there are only two, you and the rest of the existence, because there are only two dimensions of experience within you. You do not know what is up and down in this cosmos. You do not know what is forward and backward in this cosmos. You do not know anything, these are all things that we have made up for convenience. The only experiential reality is, there is something called outward and there is something called inward. So these are the two dimensions of experience, inner and outer. So yoga means to bring a union between these, inner and outer, you and the rest, you and the other. When there is no you and the other, there is just you and you. That is yoga. So asanas are a physical manifestation of approaching this, a physical form of approaching this ultimate union, because physical body is the easiest thing to work with. If you try to do something with your mind, it will play too many tricks. At least with the body, you know whether it's doing it right or not doing it right, whether it's cooperating or not cooperating. A mind, if you push it too hard, it will play all kinds of tricks with you. It will make you believe all kinds of things and dump you the next day. But body is not like that. It is a reliable factor. If you work with it sensibly, the yogasanas will definitely lead to the possibility of ultimate union. In the meantime, by getting into the postures, before all this alignment with the ultimate happens, inner alignment happens, which will naturally achieve a chemistry of healthfulness, joyfulness and blissfulness, and above all, balance. Balance is something that modern societies have ignored and they're paying a huge price for today. Whatever may be your intelligence, whatever may be your competence and education and qualifications, if you do not have the necessary balance, you will not succeed, you will not go very far in your life. So, the most important thing for people who are seeking to be successful, people whether they're working in corporate sector or they're political or they're military or whatever field, the most important thing is balance. Only if you have a balance which is not disturbed by external situations, will you be capable of making use of the competence and intelligence that you carry within you. Otherwise, the most wonderful qualities that one may have will all go waste simply because of lack of balance. And Hatha Yoga means balance.